This video is going to be a look into Civil 3D 2018, how to use the styles inside of the program. Styles are the most tricky and yet most important part of Civil 3D. It's because it controls how everything looks, and if you can't get a style to work, it's very frustrating trying to get it to do what you want it to do. We're starting here looking at profiles. We got some gravity inlets with 12-inch pipe and the nyloplast inlet. So this style is the profile style for that inlet. There's a plan style as well, and we'll look at that in a minute. It's made up of a couple components. So to edit the style, you click on the label, right click, similar to everything else in Civil 3D, click and right click, edit label style, and it'll open up a window, and you can start. Okay, if you want to switch it to a different style that you already have created, that's in this list. So if you want to switch, you can, and if you want to edit it, you can one-click edit the pencil and pad here, and it will pull up another window that shows you your options. Now, this window is pretty well similar to every style in Civil 3D, so they did a pretty good job there with making sure that it's similar across the board. It's not always easy, but it is at least familiar. You have your information that tells you what the name is. General tells you what layer it's on. Tells you the parent layer. Actually, that's the child layer. The parent layer is controlled in the settings. Tells you the text style, what your orientation is. Plan readability is as far as if you have a viewport that's rotating. This controls when it flips left or right. This is your name. If you want it to go, if you want this component to disappear, you hit false. As you can see over there, it went away. This anchor component is the feature, and the feature that you're labeling is a structure, so it's going to anchor to the structure. The text is going to be what text you have for this component, and this is your contents. You click once, there's 3 dots, click again, and then that is going to tell you what is in that component. So you've got, and you can type, this is, you can edit in this box. This box controls everything that shows up here. So you got your plus sign, and then you structure station. This information over here comes from this pull down and gives you everything possible for a structure. So we've got structure station that gives you the 42, and if you look a little farther down, you can control how that structure station shows up. The output, so you want to the right of the station character. This plus sign would be the station character. You can change it to full, and then once you change it, this is important, once you change it, you have to push that change over with this arrow. So if we look at it now, it'll say full, like it'll say the full station. You have to say okay a lot. Okay, 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 okay. So now it gives you the full station. Obviously you wouldn't need the plus sign in front, but I was wanting to show you how that would edit and adjust the to add the full station if that's what you are looking for. So I'm going to go back in. Again, this is your component, structure name. The contents are here. You click on this once, and then it gives you the 3 dots to click on it again. And then if you're wanting to edit something, you click on what you want to change, come back to the station character, output, we're going to change that back to right of the right of the station character, and then press it back over into the box. I typed in structure name because I wanted mine to say station structure and then a name. Description is what you type into the properties of this inlet, and we can go look at that here in a minute. I typed in TC, T.C equals, you get your insertion rim, your precision is here, it controls how many decimals you see. You have a rounding factor that you can change. If you want it to round up at a certain, instead of the normal way, you can change it to truncate, or round up, or round normal. I have the output as full here. That gives you the whole thing. So say OK on that. Alright, so this first component I have set to text height 0.12, which is just the standard text height. The attachment, this is important because as you get more components, you have to start checking to see where they are attached when you get into drag state. I have this set to the bottom left of the feature. This is everything else is attached to this one. So this one's set to bottom left. I've set it color to bilayer. I don't have a border around it, so after that nothing matters. The background I have turned to false. If you want to mask a label, you say true, and then OK, and OK, and it'll put a background mask. When you print, it will cover over the lines or anything else that is in the and behind the label. The other components that I have added into this style, you get the incoming pipes, the outflow pipes, and it's exactly the same. Your anchor components, the feature. To get this, the incoming and outgoing pipes is a little trickier than most. You have to pull down, and if you wanted just to put text, if you wanted reference text to reference to an alignment or anything else, you're in here. If you just run a regular component, you would hit text. To get the in and the outflow pipes, you have to click text for each, and that gives you an option. Do you want to do all the pipes or just the in, break it out in the in and the out? So you click one of those, you hit OK, and then it'll put it in this list. Same, well, this text height is set to 0.1. It should be to 0.12. It doesn't really matter because you're always going to have this in drag state. So the drag state will control how it actually looks. So if you flip over to the drag state, this controls all of those three components with one setting. First part to look at in drag state is your arrowhead. Your closed fit or closed field is going to be the standard arrowhead that you have. It's not showing drag state over there. And I actually need to go back and turn visibility back off. Closed field 0.12. Sometimes those arrowheads seem big. At times I change them to 0.1 so that they're not so dominating if you have a lot of information you're trying to show. Visibility to true. If you don't want to see a leader in any style, when you go to drag state, you turn that to false and it'll take that leader away, and you can just move that around without there being a leader. Obviously for a structure, a leader is pretty important, but other things like, you know, a grade or things, you don't need the leader. So the options inside of drag state are as composed or stacked text. Now when you do the as composed, it's going to do your text components as they are, you know, in this window, in the layout window. I do stacked text. That way when you flip this to the left and to the right, this piece always stays to the middle of the top line. It's important because you don't want it to do different things left or right. I have the border visibility turned off. I have the background mask turned off. You don't need to look at the border and leader gap unless you have a style that you're wanting to have a border, and then you would adjust the thickness of space around your text and the border. I have the text height set to 0.12 like I said here, everything's set to bilayer. I set that to red just to make sure that the leader is always red. So just to kind of show a change here so that it will change all the components, I'm going to change this to 0.17 just to make it large. Hit apply and OK and OK, and this should jump up. Yeah, see, it jumped up really big. I'm going to go back in there and change that to 0.12, but I wanted to show you that it does, you can change. So 0.12, just to show you the difference between stacked text and as composed. So this outflow is at 0.1, the inflow is at 0.12, so if I was to go leave that as composed and hit OK, this label will get all kind of, it'll get weird. You have some text that's bigger than others, and it's hard to manipulate inside of the profile because the leader, you have to manually take the leader over to the side of the label, and then this is your, so it's not, it's just, it doesn't work quite as good. So I use the stacked text for pretty much everything. It would work okay for this one because there's not something really long, or there's not a long description. But if you have a long description, then that's going to run out this way, and then you're not able to attach to the top. So that's why I use the stacked text. And that is the profile. That's the profile label of a structure. Now I've showed this before, but I'll show it again. So the default for placing a label, it does not place it at the top. It's kind of annoying that it wouldn't just keep it at the top. So if you click and let your leader be right at the center or close to the center of your structure, that way you'll be able to swing it back and forth. Up in your ribbon, if you toggle the label pin and then click off of your label, you can pull this away. See how it's pinned to the top of the structure? Pull that away and then pull this out of the way. It's kind of a odd thing to do, but it really works if you just pull away, pull that away, and then click on your leader, minimize it back to the position it was, and you're able to drag that around and it sticks to the top of your inlet. So that is structure labels in profile. The next thing that we have is pipe labels in profile. If you click on it, right click. Well, first to add a label, click on the pipe and then add label. Once you have your labels in there, click on the label, edit label style. Same thing, one click, the pencil and the pad, get you editing that style. We've got your name, the layer it's on, text style, readability. It's the exact same steps for all of Civil 3D styles, just one after another. If you click on, so you got pipe text, and we only have the one component on this one. So if you click on pipe text, 3 dots, it shows you your text inside the text editor here, and you can change it from 2D length to 3D length. Everything that has to do with pipes is controlled in this list. I type a few things in here to make our label read like we want it to. You have your inner diameter, your precision for that diameter, your slope, the format of that slope. It can be rise, run, percent, decimal. So you have the format, the precision, all controlled over here. Something that I didn't mention in the other, for the structures, is the format button over here. If you have something that you want to be left justified or a different font, you highlight it, control it over here. You can make it a different color, specific. As you see, it updates. So I'm going to go back in there and change that back to green. And really, the color is just what you prefer or how it prints. With Tahoma font, the color doesn't matter. It's going to print the same thickness, kind of like a marker thickness, but it's easier if you have it the way that you're used to seeing it. So I'm going to say OK on that. So the pipe attachment for a profile pipe and a plan pipe is, I've got this set to the center line, so you can see the diamonds in the center of the pipe, and it's the feature. The pipe is the feature. If you move this to the bottom of the outer, it's going to move that diameter down below the pipe, the diamond down below the pipe. Now, well, it didn't move the diamond, it moved the actual label below the pipe. The diamond is set to the pipe, which is the feature. And you can control that offset with a minus and a plus 0.1 here. If you want it to go down, you got to go minus. If you want it to go up, you just leave it 0.1. Hit OK. And it'll pop that down below the pipe. And that's before it gets into drag state. So that's just in plain, regular placing the label above and below. You can move it below, middle, above, whichever suits your application best. I'm going to move that back to 0 just because that's how it was. Everything is, no border visibility, no background mask. Inside of the text box, you have another attachment box that if you click this, it is going to see where that text is attached to that diamond. So right now I have it at middle center. So if I go middle left, it's going to swing everything to the right of the diamond, which would be the left of the text. So now you have to the, and I think I did top left, so it did the top left of the text to the diamond. Let's look and check. A lot of style, when you're first starting to edit styles and get used to everything, a lot of it is checking, like putting in something, seeing if that fixes it enough. I said middle left, but oh yeah, middle left. Let's do middle center. The middle center should put it back in there. I'm not sure why it's back down low again. Oh yeah, because I have it at the bottom of the diameter. So this is the feature. I'm going to put it back to the center line. And then if I do this middle left, so now as you slide it, the diamond is on the left of the text. It's just all a matter of preference. I like it in the center. Some people might like it left, some people might like it right. It's easy to fix, and you can just adjust it with this little button here. Middle center, top left, top right, whichever you want. Drag state is the same. See, here I have my text at 0.12. Drag state. See, this arrowhead size, for whatever reason, is defaulted to 0.15. It needs to be 0.12. You have the arrowhead, just a regular closed fill style, if that's what you're wanting to use. The color is red. I have it set to stack text. Leader attachment's in the middle, and this leader justification is true, so that when you flip it left and right, it follows as it's supposed to. And you say OK, and OK, and then to get this into drag state, pull down on the square, not the diamond, the square, and then now you're in drag state. And if you need to move it up and down, the diamond still is attached to the leader, and then you move it around in your profile along the pipe. I was going to talk a bit about those offsets and things in the structure labels. So I'm going to go back to this style and look at it and show you a little bit. So the inflow pipe is set to feature. It's a little interesting that that is below like it's supposed to be. because it's set, the attachment is top left, but it doesn't have an offset or anything. The outflow is also, now see, the outflow is attached to the incoming pipe. So your anchor component is incoming pipe, and the anchor point is bottom left of the incoming pipe. I'm going to move that back so that it makes sense as far as what we're looking at. So back to editing. So we're looking at the inflow or the outflow pipe, which is the bottom of the structure label. Its anchor component I have set to the incoming pipe and the bottom left of the incoming pipe. And then if you look at down here, I have the outflow pipe attachment set to the top left, so the top left of the outflow is attached to the bottom left of the inflow. And if you're stringing a bunch of things together, it's important to kind of know where those are or be aware that you can maneuver. So if I needed a really weird structure label, I could say bottom right of the incoming pipe and it would bump everything over. No, it didn't do that because I'm using stacked text. I'm saying things wrong, but it's actually true. If I go to drag state and change this back to as composed, and that as composed is as it is composed here. So my outflow is now set to the bottom right of the anchor, which is the incoming. If I say OK in drag state, it'll bump this way over here. Now that's a very rare that you would need that, but just to kind of show how they're constructed. If you needed to type something in there, that will let you do it. Back to bottom left, and then also back to stack text. The stack text puts all of your components in order, one after another, underneath each other. So I was kind of going to show you the plan view labels, and I'll actually just edit it here. I'll change this one to a plan view label, or I'll add another label to it so we can compare the differences. Add a label. It's going to add the default label, which is profile. Drag it up here so we can look at it, and then right click, edit label style, one click, pencil and paper here. Oh, nope, that is not what we want to do. We want to change it, not edit it. So back to there, and then pencil and paper, so you're editing the plan. The plan layout has just a structure name, and then inside of that component we have the same setup, the plus for your station, your structure station set to the right of the character, right station character, name, your description, and then we have a northing and easting here, which is in the structure list, so you can get a tie down for where it's at, your precision, and say OK. Everything is similar, it's just the information is different. So for the plan view, we don't need to see the invert in and out most of the time. The northing and easting will suffice. The plan label for the pipes is the same information. I was going to show some styles for these ditches that we have if you're needing to label the proposed grading of the ditch. if you click on the profile, up in the ribbon it comes add view labels, so you would say station elevation. Pick your station and your elevation. It's going to put a label there. Now if you do it labeling that way, it's going to give you a marker on the end of your label by default. This circle is the basic circle, I believe. It's called standard. To get rid of that marker with this way, labeling like by clicking on the profile and clicking in the ribbon, you have to click on that, go to your properties, go to standard and say none, and then it'll go away. Now since we have a different leader head here, I'm going to go in and look at this style to kind of show you how you can manipulate the leader heads and how size matters and looks and that sort of thing. Now this style does not flip left to right because I can't have it in stacked text because I have a line in between the components. So I have to do a line to separate it, and so you have to do it as composed and then maneuver the leader label around, and that one still has its standard marker on it, so I'm going to take that off with none. And since the marker is smaller now, it moves this away from the edge of the line. So that's kind of important to remember. The size of your marker or leader controls the size of this length of leader head right here, and I'll show you how that works. One click pencil paper to edit. In drag state, so I have it as composed, like I said, as composed. The arrowhead size, so we're going to make it really big. We'll make it 0.5 would be pretty big. Make this circle bigger. And we have it on dot small blank. There's a lot of options. Datum triangle, box, box filled, dot blank, dot small blank. They're all different variations depending on what you like to see and what you need to show in your plans. So watch as I make this bigger, this will get bigger as well. It's so big that it's too close to show the leader head, so you have to drag it away. And now you have a really big circle and a correspondingly really big piece of label length there. So if you go back into that, make it what it's supposed to be, 0.1 or 1.2. We can also change this just to show. We'll make it a box filled. Say OK and OK, and now you have a box filled. That's interesting that it made that go completely away. Oh, it actually, because it was so short comparative, it moved it more than I realized. That's something I've been experiencing in 2018, is when I click on a leader and try to move it, sometimes I have to unclick and then re-click to move the leader head back to where it's supposed to go. It's a little frustrating, but I'm not sure why it does that. That is the basics of styles for profiles. I'll go look real quick and show you. I was talking about this description, which was being read in the profile, leader, and the plan. If you go to your structure properties, look in this information here, whatever is typed in here will be in that box in the it mirrors it exactly. So if you put in a bunch of characters, it's going to show a bunch of characters in that description. There's my dashes. So that's why I was saying it's hard to go left and right if you have a lot this way. So if you have something that's showing wrong in that description, it's read from the description. Get rid of that and it'll go away. These styles, read from this properties box here your reference alignment. So this is looking to put the station, but if you don't have a station referenced in this, or an alignment referenced here, that station will go to question marks because it doesn't know where I'm pulling that station from. So in your structure properties, you have to attach the station. It's alignment. You have to attach the alignment. It's alignment 6. And they should come back. I was going to look at some surface styles. So labeling contours. You click on the contour. It pulls up in your ribbon. The button to add labels pulls up another box somewhere. Oh, that's the tricky part of this. So you can click on the top and it pulls this down. Oh, some of them have two buttons, some of them have one. So if you want to see all of your options for labeling, you can say add surface labels, and it's going to pull this box up over here. Well, it's not being nice. There it goes. It was on top of my properties box. So this is it tells you what feature you're editing. It tells you your label type. So if you wanted to label contours and you just wanted to run it across a single contour, we're going to use existing labels. Existing major and existing minor. Major on top, minor on bottom. Say add. Got to move that box out of the way. And then it knows that you're already selected the surface, so you just click and drag across it. Select the contour line. Alright, so it wasn't a drag, it was the actual clicking of the contour line. If you do multiple, you have your existing major, your existing minor. You hit add, and you pick your surface, and then you just do a drag across the lines you're wanting to label. So you can edit these. You can edit you can't click on, it's kind of odd, you can't click on the contours and edit the styles. It does. If you left click and then right click, it does not give you a style edit possibility. You go from either the settings or from in this label box. You can one click the button, the pencil paper button. So we're going to look at we've got minors, so we'll have to go to the minors. Pencil paper to edit minors. It's telling you what layer it's on, contour minor, and the textile standard for Tahoma. Size is 0.1. If you want to change this to where it shows a border, down here you turn the border on, you pick if it's rectangle or circular. Not circular, we want rounded rectangular. Background mask, if you don't want to see stuff underneath it. I mask my contours, and if it's masking too much, you can make it a smaller imprint behind it. With styles, there's so many options. It's just you keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper. I have these set to bilayer, so whatever this layer color is what color it's going to show. If you wanted to make them a little bigger, 0.2. And if you needed to edit something inside of the contour itself, this is your box, similar to all the other styles. You click on what you're trying to edit. If you wanted to, for some reason, change the precision, you can make it with an additional decimal. You click the decimal, click the arrow to push it over, and say OK. And then as you can see, it's updating over here to what it's going to show over here. Say OK. And now you have bigger and a decimal. Now, you don't really want that, but if you need to change it, that's how you change the contour labels. Change it back to 0.1. Turn the visibility of the border off and say OK. And we'll actually change the surface back to that. Say OK. So that's your surface labels. So you have your surface labels, your label type. If you're wanting to do a spot elevation, it switches to your spot elevation. And this is similar to what I was talking about over the profile. So this marker is defaulted to Z to X. So for spot elevations, you actually want a marker. So I'm going to do an existing spot elevation. I'll hit add. It's going to ask me which surface do you want to hit a spot elevation to, and put it there. Now with spot elevations, if you intended to get a proposed one, you can right click, edit label style, and pull this down and go proposed. Now proposed one's got a big box around it, so you probably want to pull it into drag state. I'm not sure if this is, yeah, it's not quite set up exactly right, but it's close. And the leader and everything points to the X. If you don't want that X any longer, make it pull up, go to your properties, pull it up, hit none, and it goes away. I'm going to change it back to a different style. You know, you have your pull down list, whatever you want to make it. And you just kind of run through and change it to what you want. What's nice about these leaders and labels and things is that you can I need to add my marker back in. You can copy them, and if you have one of these set to the wrong style, it's not what you're looking for. If you go to your Home tab, Match Properties, you can click on a style and then match to that style, and it pulls the style. It matches the style across to what you're looking for. It's really repetition of the same stuff over and over. Every type of style. We got a station offset style. You have to pick an alignment. If there's a lot of stuff there, which there is, you can right click. Oh, you're supposed to be able to right click and get to a list. No, it's not letting me do it. Some options you can right click and get a list of your alignments when you're trying to. So there's my station offset. If you want it in drag state, pull it out like that. I've got it set smaller in drag state. You get your arrowhead, your leader. If you right click, edit label style, pencil and paper. It's just repetition of the same windows, the same, general layout, text component, changing it in this box, drag state. It's a lot to learn, but after you do it and do it and do it, you'll realize and see where things are at. You'll get used to it. There is a rotation angle. I didn't say anything about that, but if you wanted your leader to be at a rotation angle, let's put this to as composed. It should bump to a 45. Yeah, it bumps to a 45. I don't use the rotation angles very often, but I was going to show that it is an option in the style. Put that back to 0. Okay, one of the last things I want to talk about as far as styles is if you have a style that is saying something that you know is not correct and you're quickly trying to change it, if you click on it, right click, and you can edit label text, and it pulls that same box up. But the difference is this only changes this particular style. It does not globally change. The other changes we've been doing globally change every label in that drawing of that style. So if you have one you don't want to see the offset, you can just clear it out and then say OK, and the offset goes away. If you have done that inadvertently, you can click on it, right click, and clear label text override. You're just overriding that text for that label specifically. The thing that is not good, so we'll clear that again. We'll take it out. It's not necessarily not good, it's just something to be aware of. If you label text override that and then edit this style, so let's change the precision. Somebody came in afterwards and wanted another decimal in that precision. You change the precision, click it over, say OK, and OK, and OK. See, it changed the precision on this one, and it will globally change any of these other labels. It did not change the precision on this one. This one has been basically blocked from any future changes by that label text override. So to get that back, you can clear label text override, and it'll bump the precision back out. So it's not fun to have label text override on a style or a label in your drawing, and then you change globally everything, and you think it's going to change that one too, and it doesn't. And then you have 10 labels or 2 labels that don't read like the rest of them read, and it's not good. I think that is a pretty good dive into styles. I'll probably be back with more. There's so much more to do with styles as far as displays, colors, surfaces, how they look, what's on, what's off. I will probably have a second video talking about styles. So thanks for watching. Hope it helps.